Life with Dr. Gerald Coy.
Good day, America. I'm Dr. Gerald Coy, and this is Solutions for Life, brought to you by the Share Foundation, a public, nonprofit charitable organization dedicated to natural health by helping the public become aware of alternatives in the healthcare services. Today, we're going to help you understand something that's very, very important for you. It's one of the most important alternative healthcare systems in the United States, something that a lot of people have misconceptions of, and we're going to have a guest joining us very soon regarding chiropractic. That's a big, long word that means done by hand, but chiropractic is the science, philosophy, and art of things natural, a system of detecting imbalances in your spine and working to correct them. With us shortly will be a local chiropractor where she will discuss her involvement. But as a lot of people say, how did you ever get involved in chiropractic? Well, one of the most important influences in your life is always your mother. And my mother used to work for a chiropractor, and it was fascinating. I saw some miraculous things. And my father didn't believe in chiropractic. But my mother had been going to chiropractors for years. In fact, she started going to chiropractors when she was 12 years old. She had migraine headaches, and that which gave her the most relief was chiropractic. And this is 80 years ago. The chiropractic profession is only 118 years old, and she was going to chiropractors back in the 30s. She told me about that experience. And when we moved into an area that didn't have chiropractors that much. She didn't know of any. And the problem with migraine headaches came back, and so she went to the medical doctor. Now, this is when I was about 9 years old. And I remember my mother coming home with her pills, and she would take them, and they would zonk her out. She had to go to bed. She couldn't function. Now, if any of you have 9-year-old kids, especially boys, they want attention. They want to be fed. They want their mother's attention to take care of them. And my mother was in bed with her migraine headache, zonked out on drugs to cope with the pain. But soon she found a chiropractor again and started going back to the chiropractor that gave her the relief that she needed so she could come home without the headache and feed me. And that was the most important thing to me. But that was my first introduction to chiropractic. As later in life, and I was a teenager, my mother went to work for a chiropractor in Bellflower. His name was Dr. Wes Helzer, a wiry little guy, but he was enjoying life. It was an experience because when I was 15 years old, I played football. We were talking about this the other day on one of the programs about sports injuries, and I got hit high and I got hit low, and what happened in between was the fact that it hurt. And I remember going to the chiropractor and because of my sports injury, getting adjusted and getting relief from that pain and discomfort. In fact, my father, he came home one day. My father was a ditch digger. He was a farmer before that, but he worked for the water company and he used to go out and dig. He could cut a beautiful ditch, hard manual labor. And in having that hard labor, and the farming he did before that, he had hurt himself many, many times. And one day he came home from his hard work and he was just crawled onto the floor. He was in such pain. And he looked up at my mother and he says, I guess I'll go to that damn quack of yours, because he didn't believe in chiropractic. And so he went to Dr. Helzer in Bellflower. In fact, his son still practices over there. And he got the treatment he needed. And he got out of pain. And from that moment on, he was a believer. So much so that it was started influencing me. And all of a sudden, I looked around at what career was I going to have after high school? Where was I going to go? Where was I going to go to college? And all of a sudden, there started to be this interest because I saw chiropractors helping other people. And I liked being around people, and I wanted to be involved with that. And so at a young age and everything else, I took off and went to Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa. I didn't even know where that was, and became a chiropractor. So that was my introduction to chiropractic. My mother, who had migraine headaches, the most common thing that a lot of people think of is the lower back pain. But there's a lot of misconceptions out there. I remember as a youth, we knew some very wealthy people. We were a poor family, but we did know some wealthy people. And one of them was a very wealthy dentist who said, I will send you to any school. I will help you to become a medical doctor. I will help you to become a dentist. Anything but a chiropractor. And I looked at him and I says, no. I said, that's what I want. Because there's a lot of people out there think, oh, he couldn't be a medical doctor, so he became a chiropractor. No. This profession is premier. This is a profession that helps people naturally. It helps the sick get well, helps people who have been injured, and does it in a way that does not cause more problems. A lot of people, I remember many years later, I was on television in some morning show, and I had been set up. I was doing some promotion for the Share Foundation, which is the supporter of this particular program. And again, I was faced with the negativities that was coming from the medical profession. The doctor who was sitting there had been past president of the California Medical Association. He was a gastroenterologist, and he said he felt that chiropractors were a risk to the American public. The funny thing was he was talking about things that he had read in a book, and he said, well, this chiropractor here recommends some sort of enema for this, that, or the other, and this chiropractor here recommends, and this is many years ago, dairy products for an ulcer. And he says, that is contraindicated, and I should know because I have an ulcer. Can you imagine being a gastroenterologist and having an ulcer? I don't know what the stress is in his practice, but that'd be like a chiropractor having a bad back and not taking good care of themselves. But he went on to, again, explain how he felt that as being a chiropractor, it was a risk. You were a risk to the American public. And I looked over at the doctor and I says, Doctor, what measures risk? Well, insurance companies measure risk. I said, yeah. I said, Doctor, how much do you pay in malpractice insurance? And he was paying at least 10, if not 13 times the amount that I pay as a chiropractor. He was 13 times the risk to the American public. And if you look at the statistics for medical care, when all the deaths that are caused by drug error, doctor error, hospital error, you can understand why their malpractice rates are so astronomical. Even today, there's medical doctors who are paying probably 50, 60, or even 100 times or more what I pay for my malpractice insurance. Therefore, they are 100 times greater risk to the American public. So if somebody ever tells you that chiropractors are a risk to your health, tell them you don't believe it because you know better. So this is one of the things that people don't realize. They don't realize what the education of a chiropractor is. I went back to college. What did I study? I studied anatomy. I studied physiology, pathology, chemistry, biochemistry. I studied all of the basic sciences. In fact, in the old days, that means past the last maybe 20 years, there were many professionals that took the same basic science exams to get their state licensures. In fact, at a table, you could have somebody who was going to be an osteopath, a chiropractor, a medical doctor, or other professionals who were basically taking the same test. We had to know the anatomy, physiology, pathology just as much as any medical doctor. In fact, when we were comparing hours in the 4 years of education, medicine is basically 4 years, chiropractic is 4 years, that the chiropractor actually spends about 400 more hours in education than the medical doctor. So if someone says chiropractors are uneducated, again, that's a falsehood. That's a lie. We are well educated. But the difference is the mode of treatment. Medicine goes into drugs and surgery. Chiropractic into the evaluation of the balance of the body, into x-rays and the techniques and the skills, the art of chiropractic that can change the balance of the body and bring about some of the times the most dramatic changes. In adjusting the spine, which means in moving and balancing out the body there, people with migraine headaches may see them diminish or even go away. People with severe low back pain may find that pain goes away. And we'll talk about other situations in where chiropractic can be of benefit. But I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of myths and falsehoods out there, and I'm here to dispel them. I've found that chiropractic is of tremendous benefit to me personally in the course of my 70 years, benefiting me from accidents and injuries, whether it be sports injuries or auto accidents or whatever situation that may cause an imbalance in your body. And when we continue our show and everything else, we'll discuss some of the other ways in which chiropractic can be of help to you. Remember, this is one of the solutions for life that we want to talk about. So you are aware of it, because we want you to be able to make better choices for you, your family, your loved ones, and be there and available for them to say, hey, I know of something that can help you, that you don't have to be having that surgery. You don't have to be taking those drugs. There is a natural way for your body to help heal itself and to get out of pain. Remember, drugs cause problems. They have side effects, and you don't want to take them any more than you absolutely have to. And if that be the case, you need to have other solutions. And chiropractic is one of the best solutions out there. And we're going to tell you more and more about how chiropractic can help you live a healthier life.
Building a custom home or business is a huge deal. For some, it's the largest project they'll take on in a lifetime. Choosing your team may be the most important part of ensuring a successful building project. Starting a project by working closely with Core Design will create what's just right for your lifestyle and your property. But selecting the right builder is perhaps the most important part of creating the team. At Core Design's, customer service, quality craftsmanship, and integrity are the keys to our company philosophy. Your custom construction dreams are just a phone call away. Core Design at 213-453-1609. Once again, that number is 213-453-1609.
The experts know that for pastry, Baker's Bodega has it all. Exclusive brands like Westco Bankmart, Satin Ice, and Pastry Pride. One-on-one day seminars for cake decorating and gelatin art. So for our service, wide range of ingredients and supplies, and for the low prices, Baker's Bodega has it all. But you don't need to be an expert. Baker's Bodega, 7869 Paramount Boulevard in Pico Rivera. Come, we're waiting for you.
Do we have your attention? When it comes to tequila, two things matter: heart and passion. Never compromising integrity for mass production. Number one Tequila delivers the goods. Taste the heart and passion of Mexico in every bottle. We make it right. We make it fun. Superior Tequila. There's only number one. There's only number one. There's only number one.
A home is the biggest investment in most people's lives. Buying or selling should be a positive experience.
Whether you want to be a wealthy real estate investor or just trying to find a place to call home. At AJR & Associates, we focus on the client's needs.
We understand the market better than most. Let us bring the value to you and make the right choice.
AJR & Associates, making your dream house a reality. Call us today for a free consultation at 562-882-1976. Or you can log on to www.hrrealtors.com.
With a track record of great results, bringing knowledge, wisdom, and expertise to you. Hablamos español.
We're back. The show today, Solutions for Life, is about chiropractic. And with me today is a wonderful guest from the Back, Body, Mind Chiropractic, Dr. Lisa Thompson. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you very much for having me.
And since you are a chiropractor and I'm a chiropractor, but you're a woman.
Yeah.
Do women become chiropractors?
Believe it or not, yes, they can.
You know, My sister was a chiropractor.
Awesome.
In fact, one of the best educators in chiropractic was actually a woman. Her name was Mabel Heath Palmer, and she was an anatomist and a brilliant woman. So I've always appreciated the fact that women in chiropractic. How did you get involved in chiropractic?
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in college, and I thought about being a teacher, but I didn't really know what else to do, so that was like a backup. And my mom one day suggested that I go shadow my chiropractor. I've always been very into health and fitness.
So your family was going to a chiropractor?
Yes, my father got injured skiing, and it was a holiday weekend.
Another sporting accident.
It was a holiday weekend, and his chiropractor saved him. He was in a lot of pain, and his chiropractor came in the holiday and helped him out a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, and I didn't know much about chiropractic.
But you said your mother made the suggestion.
Yes.
Did your mother also go to the chiropractor?
Yes, she does.
What was her purpose?
Just everyday aches and pains and the occasional back pain, and
Just she wanted to feel better. Huh?
yes, she saw how much my dad benefited from it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was telling in the earlier session about how my father just considered chiropractors quacks, and it took him a long time. In fact, he was married to my mother almost 20 years before he finally recognized the fact that maybe this could help him too.
Yes.
After that, unbelievable supporter for chiropractic.
Yes, it happens all the time.
So you followed your chiropractor around?
Yes, I went and shadowed him, and it was amazing. He made all of his patients were so happy to see him. Everybody feels so much better. Everybody was just happy. It was such a great atmosphere, and I didn't realize that chiropractic is not just about back pain. It's about
we're not just back doctors.
Yes, we're not just back doctors.
We'll talk about that in a bit too.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know much about chiropractic. I just thought it was you have back pain, you go to the chiropractor, and he was doing things from adjusting all the wrists and the elbows and knees and everything, and he was also talking about health and nutrition and all sorts of other stuff. And being an athlete, I played soccer my whole life. It really fit for me.
Well, that's the sporting is, of course, we were talking on the show last week about sports, healthy kids in sports. We want, as a doctor, there's always the encouragement for youth to be active. We want them to be active because they need it to develop their bodies.
Of course.
But they're also put their bodies at risk because you're always pushing to the nth degree.
Yes.
And you're trying to jump higher or further or throw the ball harder or whatever it might be, and many times you can injure that body. So what sport? You said you were in soccer.
Yes, I've been playing soccer since I was about 5 years old, and I still play.
You still play?
I still play. I'm in a women's league in Long Beach. So I still
fantastic.
Play. Yeah.
At this age.
At this age, I know.
It's easy for me to say things like that. But you've just recently set up practice.
Yes, I did. I'm not from around here. I'm from upstate New York, and
You're a New York girl.
I'm a New York girl, and New York was cold, so I went somewhere warmer.
Welcome to California.
Thank you. I went to grad school. I went to chiropractic school in Florida. I went to Palmer College of Chiropractic, Florida campus.
One of the Palmer campuses. I went to Davenport. You went to Florida. There's actually one here in California. They have 3 campuses. So you were going to. You were preparing for California.
Yes, I was trying to get out of the humidity in Florida, so I came here, and I set up my practice, and we had our grand opening in May.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very
Let's go back
much.
to school.
Okay.
Because in the first session, I was talking about how a lot of people think that, well, chiropractic isn't that educative a field, and I pointed out that from the old studies we had, actually chiropractors spent more hours studying, and we had to study all the anatomy, physiology, pathology, all the things. And in some states, back in the days when they had basic science exams, we took same exams that medical doctors did, osteopaths did. Obviously, I haven't kept up with what the testing is like, but tell me about your education. What was it like?
Well, I think one of the biggest surprises for people is that I went to college for 8 years. Everybody asks that, and it's like, oh, you did? It's like, yeah.
It's not a weekend course.
It's a big deal. Yeah, and it's full time. Classes started at 7:30 in the morning, and classes went until, about 5 o'clock, and I think now they're even later than that. So it was full time. We had a lunch break. Every once in a while, you had an hour off in between, but it was like having a full-time job. And then, of course, we had our tests in school. And then we had all of our national boards, which are very tough, some of them. So
Yeah, I believe the national boards, what is it, 3 parts? Or
there's
something?
4 parts
Four
now.
parts. Again,
parts.
I'm old school. They were just coming out with the national board when I was in school.
Oh, wow.
Because in the old days, as I pointed out, most states had their separate exams. They like to control who came into their
Yes,
state.
in which they still, a lot of them do that as
still
well.
have some, yeah.
Yeah.
So the education was a grind and a challenge.
Yes, it was definitely rigorous.
It wasn't just an easy get through type thing.
Absolutely not.
And so you passed your national board.
Passed my national
And
boards.
headed for the West Coast.
Packed up my
Go
car.
west, young lady, go west.
Packed up my car, drove out here, and then I had all my California tests to take.
Oh,
So,
what did you have to take in California?
California, there's a rules, a laws exam, and then there's also another X-ray exam, and then of course all the continuing education credits, which is now 24 hours for
Yes.
California.
Well,
so-
I'm facing the same thing.
Yes.
So you opened up your practice in May.
Yes, I did. Had our big grand opening.
You play soccer,
Mm-hmm.
but I also understand you're interested in other aspects of sports. In fact, you've brought it into your office as something you really like to deal with.
Yes, it's. I grew up a big sports fan, so it's hard for me to get away from sports. Not that I want to, but yes, I love treating athletes, especially the high school athletes, because they respond so well, and top athletes really care about getting better. So they understand that it's not just come in and get adjusted and that's it. They understand that it's a two-way street. I make suggestions as far as nutrition and as far as different ways to work out and different muscles to strengthen
And preparing themselves for their sports.
yes, and it works out so well. It reduces injuries. It increases.
And that's what the show Kids in Sports we were talking about. The doctor's concern about reducing or preventing sports injuries.
Yes.
And I said, we talked with the coach, and I said, I know the coaches don't want their young kids injured, but they're in there to tune them up and prime them for to win the game. Where the doctors is kind of, do I really want to see them do some of these things? So you have in prevention. But what about some of the injuries you see from sporting activities?
Oh, all sorts of injuries. A lot of probably the most common are shoulder and a lot of knee injuries. We see.
Why is this happening?
In my opinion, with shoulders, there's a lot of biomechanic issues that aren't addressed from a coach's standpoint. They may work with some biomechanics stuff, but I mean, you see some top pitchers who come up young. They are pitch. I mean. Let's see, look at Matt Harvey. Unfortunately, I'm a Mets fan, and Matt Harvey just went on the DL and might need Tommy John surgery. But a lot of times, if from the beginning their biomechanics are how they should be, these injuries don't come up as much.
So how can this, of course, how do you treat it in one, but before we get into how you treat it, why is it happening and can it be prevented?
Oh, a lot of that stuff can be prevented. Not every time, of course. There's always
It's always
exceptions.
extreme case.
Yep, but proper biomechanics is huge. Making sure you're moving properly is very important. Making sure your strength's there, making sure you're taking care of yourself, you're sleeping enough, you're eating right, you're doing all that stuff that keeps your body strong and healthy.
And it's just not a matter of many times throwing the ball or, like, say, jumping, a thing like this. I had an interesting experience when I first went into practice where a coach was sending me his runners. Because, where's the impact of runner? Well, there may be on the knees and some of the ankles and everything else. But the biomechanics that you were referring to changes the balance of that body as they're running it. And therefore, some of them are running back on their legs to the point they cannot get the forward speed that they want. And when they had better or improved their biomechanics that you were talking about, all of a sudden they were coming from the end of the pack up into the middle of the pack, up into the front of the pack. So it's very, very important, not only for the health of the child, but hey, coaches, are you listening out there? Do you want to have winners? Here's a lady and a doctor who's going to help you with your players. So be sure and have her come take care of them.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the other type of sports injuries.
Of course, one of the other huge ones right now is concussions, which is a very hot topic. And just the more research that comes out, the more you see how severe even a minor concussion can be if not treated.
And what kind of treatment do you see being needed for?
There's a lot of stuff that chiropractic neurologists are doing. Anybody listening, if you have concussions and it's bad, still having symptoms, find a chiropractic neurologist. There's a doctor, Dr. Ted Carrick, who's one of the smartest men I've ever met. Yeah.
Now, are you a chiropractic neurologist?
I have taken about 200 hours of classes.
So you're not fully certified in that area.
Correct.
But if someone was interested, you know where they can go.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's take a little commercial break for you.
Okay.
I want you to tell them your office and where it's located and what your phone number is, please.
Okay. My office is in Santa Fe Springs, California. And it's, 12101 Slauson Avenue.
Great.
And the phone number there is 562-907-7700.
Again?
562-907-7700. And you can also reach me by email anytime at info@backbodymind.com.
Well, are you listening out there? Mothers, fathers, coaches. If you have a child that's been injured, if you have a child that has had a concussion, if it's a shoulder problem, whatever it might be, here is someone who can help. If not personally, is going to be able to refer you to somebody that can help. This is, I would assume, a lot better than what medical treatment is doing?
Oh my gosh, they're seeing unbelievable results. All the NFL players are noticing, NHL players are noticing, and they are getting this treatment. That's Sidney Crosby was helped by a chiropractic neurologist, top NHL player in the world, went to Dr. Ted Carrick, and he is much better, much better.
So much better than taking drugs and
Yes.
some of the other primitive we like to talk about. People don't realize that chiropractic is in many ways in the cutting edge. We have something that is not in standard medicine, and you generally cannot find it in your HMO to some degree. And we're going to be talking more and more about how you can benefit, your family can benefit, your friends can benefit from chiropractic care. Here with me is Dr. Lisa Thompson from Santa Fe Springs, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Nurses Life Express provides unique apparel for all the hardworking nurses that wear many hats. It is apparel that expresses nurses' amazing, humorous, and caring personalities. After all, nurses are as influential as their united goal to help others. Nursing's not easy, but somebody's got to do it. For more information, please call 562-270-4312 or visit their website at www.nurselife.com. www.nurselyfe.com. Nurseslife.com, where nurses' lives are expressed.
3 balls, 2 strikes, the pitch.
Make your team look like pros with custom lineup cards. Whether you are a travel team, rec team, all-star team, or just some old guys playing slow pitch, we can make your team look a little better with some custom lineup cards. For the umpire, for the opponent, for the scorekeeper, for the dugout, no matter where your lineup card goes, you will look like a big league team with your team logo and name on top of your personalized lineup card. Just visit CustomLineupCards.com. With the best prices in town, you are sure to hit a home run with us. Visit CustomLineupCards.com and go pro.
Are you watching the game at home? Why? Come watch it at Mambo Grill, the hottest spot in Downey. You'll have good food, drinks, and a great time at a low price. We have the coldest beer in our sports bar, where you can enjoy the game on any of our huge flat screen TVs. And when your home team wins, you get 25% off anything in Mambo Grill. We're on Downey Avenue, 1 block north of Firestone, or visit us on the web. Mambo Grill, love at first bite.
Hey, bro, this is a good game. You know what would make it better?
What, bro?
A michelada.
A michelada? What's a michelada?
A michelada is somewhere in the middle of a Mexican Bloody Mary and a Mexican margarita.
Oh, I got you covered, bro.
You got a cup in your pocket?
No, sir. I got my pocket-sized michelada. Mucho macho michelada.
Pocket size?
Pocket size, so you can take it with you anywhere you go.
Where'd you get that at?
At the nearest convenience store, and you can also buy it at muchomachomichelada.com.
You know what would make it better? After we get drunk, if they had a line we can call.
We can call their drunk line. You can leave a message and then log on to the site and listen to your stupidity afterwards.
What's that number?
It's 855-MICHE-69.
What's that number again?
855-MICHE-69.
Awesome. Mucho macho michelada.
Back. I'm Dr. Gerald Coy of the Share Foundation, and this is Solutions for Life. The Share Foundation is a public, nonprofit, charitable organization offering through its Share clinics ability to pay services and free children from low-income families. The Share Foundation is a charity. It seeks to have the support and contributions from the public. All you have to do is call us at area code 562-776-1727 and give your support. You can also find us on the internet. We are at www.share, that's C-A-E-R, foundation.com. Go to the donation button, click on it, and show us your generosity. With me today, again, is Dr. Lisa Thompson. Now, you said you wanted to be a teacher, but isn't that really what a doctor is?
That's very true. That's
so you fulfilled two of your goals.
Yes.
And because isn't it really getting people to understand what they need to do and not do? Mm-hmm. Because we talked about prevention, you were talking about some of the training. There's so much education that's needed for people to have better health. When we were talking about sports, I'd like you to talk to me a little bit more about prevention now.
Well, as far as I think of high school sports a lot, just starting early, and it's not a top level. You don't have the top trainers, the top coaches. I mean, there's a lot of amazing high school. I'm not to bash them, but
loving,
but you know what,
caring, sincere individuals.
Yes, but they haven't a lot of times had the same amount of training as far as like I said before, the biomechanics and the nutrition aspects and all that stuff. So it's very important to get that education to make sure your athletes are as healthy as they can be, as their bodies are strong enough to withhold a lot of the impact with the different
I was talking
sports.
to Coach Mike on the Kids in Sports program, and that was one of the things. There's a difference between chronological age and developmental age. We were talking about. He was talking about a 12-year-old that was 6'3", 218 pounds, and I said, "I want to see his birth certificate."
Yeah.
And then there's another 12-year-old or 13-year-old who may be 4'10" and 100 pounds soaking wet. Obviously, you don't match those two in a sport, I would assume. But in that development, what about the late development, early development for sports?
Well, it's important to pay attention to that stuff, that's for sure. I mean, especially with things like football, that's what comes to mind. It's
the contact sports.
The contact sports, yeah.
I remember because I was I say I was stupid enough to play sports. Football is a wonderful sport, but kids do get hurt. You are lining up to hit each other. And I remember when I was playing, I was probably 155, 160 pounds. I played on the line. Now, if you're not 225, they're not going. And if you're in professional, 300, 350 pounds and that's solid mass. It's in that hole trying to block people. What are some of the other sports you've dealt with or become aware of needs?
A lot of individual sports that have overuse injuries. Running and tennis are very common because they run every day and they play tennis every day. So I get a lot of tennis elbow and a lot of runner's knee.
Tennis elbow. That's from tennis. I can't imagine. What's going on? Why? What's happening there?
Well, combination of things, and different people, it's different reasons too. It's mainly overuse. Biomechanics could be it. The grip of your racket sometimes isn't the right size. The way you swing, all those contribute.
I used to love to play tennis when I didn't mind pounding on the pavement. And I remember you go through different phases. When you're young, you're strong, like, get in there, and it's how hard I can hit it. But as you mature and everything else, and your strength doesn't give you quite the same power, you learn the old term English. You learn how to rotate that racket and to put a spin on that ball to make it do funny things. But there's damage that comes about from that.
Yes, especially if you're learning when you're getting older. Yes.
Okay. Now you got to teach me on this.
My mom is a great example. She's probably listening. Hi, Mom. She started playing tennis when she was 50, and she loves it. And now she plays all the time. She started playing when she was 50.
Well, congratulations, Mom. Keep it up.
It's a great workout. She loves it. Great workout. But she has a limit with how much she can play. When she's playing 6 days a week, her elbow will bother her. She needs to go home. She knows now to go home and ice it if she irritates it, and to strengthen it. Strengthening it is so important. The stronger it is, the harder it is to get injured.
Well, I think women as a whole, I love women doctors, but women are generally a little bit more practical, a little bit more conservative. And I have to laugh that in playing, because you bring up tennis, that there was a point when I was on the court and I learned to say something that was vital to my health. Mm-hmm. That was a good shot. Because in the past, it was kind of like you would dive you would force yourself to get over there to get that. There'll be another ball coming across the net. Believe me, there'll be more balls coming across the net. But I said, that was a good shot. I don't need to kill myself, in essence. I don't need to harm myself. I don't need to exert myself beyond what is reasonable for the condition of this body. Mm-hmm. I don't need to put my knees under such a strain, or my wrist, or whatever it is that I have to do that. Mm-hmm. When you're a young athlete and you've been training for it and your body is in tip-top shape, go for it. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, no, it's time to let go.
Yeah.
So tell us some more experiences. What are the other kind of patients you see at your office? We talk about sports a lot. What else?
I work with a lot of women, a lot of pregnant women, and children also, which surprises
women
people.
That are pregnant?
Yes.
How do they lay down?
Depending on how pregnant they are, we have different ways for them to lay down. If they're newly pregnant, they can lay down normal, of course. We also have pregnancy pillows for different stages in the pregnancy. And we have tables that recline up a little bit so they don't have to lay on their backs, and they love it. They see such good results, decreases labor time, all sorts of fun stuff.
I mentioned in the beginning that my sister was a chiropractor. And that was really one of the most amazing experiences. That here she was at 30 having her first child, which used to be considered being old. More and more women who are now getting their education, developing their careers, are starting to have children at 30. But in the past, it was kind of like if you didn't have your family by the time you were 21, it's kind of like you're old. But here she was at a mature state of life, and she's having her first child. And she was someone who was explaining to the benefits of chiropractic. I have a book out that's called Solutions to the American Health Crisis, and in one section I'm very critical about pregnancy. I put on there a little cartoon that says that the doctors consider a pregnancy a 9-month pathology that they have to terminate, because there are 33% of women who are having cesarean births. Crime. But going back, this is a natural process. We talk about natural birth. This is the most God-given, beautiful experience that any woman, men can't have it yet, but any woman can have. And under chiropractic care, it becomes more natural.
Oh, absolutely.
And there is less discomfort. And the whole process is allowed to happen in the way it was meant to be. And I think that's a little bit what chiropractic is all about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Helping the body function the way it was designed to.
Yes, and it's amazing how much better mom and baby do when it's a natural birth, and things are not stressful, and it's treated as something natural instead of a pathology.
What would be your recommendation for a pregnant woman once she's become pregnant? Let me step out of that for a moment. Because I've had a lot of patients who've talked about wanting to get pregnant, and we talk about improving your nutrition, making sure you're off of the toxic things and the chemicals and the things that can maybe alter body months prior, so that what's coming from both parties that are going to have that child can be as natural as possible, and then they have the pregnancy. Now, I'm out of the same, your step into it, she's now pregnant. What is your advice to someone who has just discovered they are pregnant?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things that are very important, not just for mom, but for mom and baby. Nutrition and stress are the first two things that come to mind. The healthier the mom eats, the more fruits and vegetables and getting rid of the processed foods is so good for the baby's
mean that
brain.
monosodium, whatever it is it's on the side of the can or the box, and all those things that you can't pronounce, those aren't good for you?
Those are not good for you, and they are not good for baby. Stress with maternal stress is huge right now.
Why is that?
Your body, the woman's body, will produce increased cortisol levels, and it's so bad for the baby.
Is this maybe one of the reasons why there are early terminations of pregnancies?
I think it's a reason for a lot of things. Yeah, the maternal stress is very, very important to reduce.
So, what are the recommendations for reduction? Give some concrete things that, other than hit them on the head.
Yeah, well, one thing that's very important is to be ready to be pregnant. If you're mentally ready, you'll eliminate as much stress before you get pregnant. You're eating healthy, taking care of yourself.
It's not a surprise, huh?
Yes, taking care of yourself as much as possible, making sure you're ready financially and every other stress. There's a lot right now that's causing stress. So being prepared and ready to have a baby is very important, taking care of yourself first.
I was watching on television recently something that, remember I said that medicine considers pregnancy a 9-month pathology they have to terminate. And I have so many women who are pregnant that come in and they say, well, my due date is such and such. And I says, was the doctor there when you were when the child was conceived? If not, what do you mean this is your due date? And the thing that I was surprised was that on this television program, which I love watching what's on news program, and they were talking about that the due date can vary as much as 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So it isn't that day.
No.
And yet people say, well, if you don't have that baby this day, well, if it's 3 or 4 days later, we're going to take the child by cesarean.
Mm-hmm.
What are your comments about that kind of procedure?
I get
Nicely,
pretty,
without being.
I can get pretty passionate about that because that does really bother me. The baby will come when it's ready.
Thank you.
And
would you repeat that and make it a little bit
louder? The baby will come when it's ready. I have a son. I have a 2-year-old, and
full of energy too. I've seen him.
Full of a lot of energy, but he's great. But for me, I mean, you get to the 8th month and you're ready. It was like, okay, I get it. I just want to have him.
It's time.
And I did everything. I was walking and eating spicy foods and the works. And I had a medical doctor. He stripped my membranes prematurely, and I went into early labor, and my body was not ready, and it ended up in a 38-hour labor followed by a C-section.
I'm sorry about that. We've been talking about pregnancy with Dr. Lisa Thompson. We will be back in just a few moments to discuss more about how you can be helped with chiropractic.
Ticketsurgeon.com. Reach us at 855-WIN-4-199.
Did you get caught speeding, texting while driving, or doing anything else you weren't supposed to do?
Give us a call. Don't miss work. Don't lose out on the money. Don't get any more points. What about your insurance? Let us fight for you. Ticketsurgeon.com at 855-WIN-4-199.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra-modern, ultra-clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
The Share Foundation is the health division of the Coy Chiropractic Institute, a 501c3 509A2 public nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth and development of the natural health care services, in particular through the chiropractic profession, offering health services at the Share clinics in the greater Los Angeles area. Your donations can help in expanding these facilities across the nation, research programs, and public education, thus offering a solution to the many of the health challenges we face. Your donations are tax-deductible and can be sent through our website at www.sharefoundation.com. That's www.cherfoundation.com by clicking on the donation button. Thank you.
Number one. Number one.
Is that a stutter or as high as you can count?
I was ordering number one tequila.
Everybody's asking for number one.
Great, another fancy bottle.
These guys are true artists. Never compromise integrity. They make tequila
Come
the
on.
old-fashioned way. Never mass-produced.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying have the number one. Anything less is number two. Number one, tequila.
We are the Three Guys Rant
with Arvin, Mike, and Phil.
Coming to you on the Rant Radio Network every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can call us at 855-69 The Three Guys.
It's not the Three Guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's, the other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS, G-U-Y-S, and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
And we're back. I'm Dr. Gerald Coy, and this is Solutions for Life. With me today is Dr. Lisa Thompson, and she is in Santa Fe Springs, California, here on Slauson. And her phone number is 562-907-7700. That's area code 562-907-7700. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. We were talking about pregnancy. It's something that no man will ever totally understand. But you mentioned the experience you had, which was not as you feel it should have been.
No.
What can women do?
Well, one thing I really encourage is, research, of course. It's so easy to listen to what the doctor says and not question anything, but it's important to know that there are options for birth.
You mean the doctor could be wrong?
The doctor could be wrong. I encourage
and who pays
questioning
the
your
price if
doctor.
the doctor's wrong?
Yeah, not
You do.
Yeah. So, I encourage education, and I really encourage moms to not worry about that due date, to wait and let that baby come when they're ready. And
the baby's going to come when the baby is
it's
ready.
not going to grow up inside of you,
Well, we've covered sports accidents and injuries. We've discussed pregnancy. But what about at the other end of the spectrum? Our parents, those who, my mother is 92. Like I had mentioned earlier, she's been going to chiropractors for 80 years. She started when she was 12 years old, when the profession was only about 30-some years of age, and because of migraine headaches. How can chiropractic be of benefit to our senior citizens? Those who have maybe had the accidents and had the injuries and had surgeries and they've already paid a heavy price at this point in their life.
Well, chiropractic's great for everybody, but it's a lot of older people can really benefit from chiropractic. There's a lot of injuries once they get older. Their body's not as strong as it used to be, so to be able to help somebody feel better is pretty awesome.
We've talked a lot about structure. We've talked about the shoulders, and we've talked about backs and things like this. And with my mother, we mentioned the migraine headaches, but a lot of people still have a tendency of looking at us being as back doctors. And in reality, the involvement is more the nervous system, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And, people don't, come on, folks, it's not just bones.
It's the brain.
We're talking about the brain, the spinal nerves, those nerves that go to every part of your body, and how that's important to be functioning the way it's supposed to be. So, who else would someone see? with senior citizens, if they have problems with their heart, should they go to a chiropractor?
Oh, yeah.
And if they have problems with constipation, diarrhea, should they go to a chiropractor?
They should absolutely go to a
And
chiropractor.
if they're having problem with their digestion, should they go to a chiropractor?
Of course.
If they're having trouble breathing, should they go to a chiropractor?
The nerves innervate that.
Are you listening out there? In other words, it's not just if you have pain, but there's people who have just the opposite, which is numbness, tingling in this part of the body, or something. It means something isn't really working the way it's supposed to be. Can chiropractic help all these people?
Absolutely.
Why? How? Why? Why should they go to a chiropractor instead of going and getting a prescription?
Well, that's the biggest thing is a lot of times go the other route and go to a medical doctor, which there's some amazing advances in medicine, but a lot of times you're just going to get a prescription. If you're in pain, here's your painkiller, here's your muscle relaxer. Okay, well, now I'm constipated. Now I've got this going on. It's like a chiropractor actually tries to work with the issue, and obviously people see different results when they're older, but we're trying to work with the body and help the body function better instead of covering it up.
Talking about different patients, I had an 83-year-old man that came in, and it was one of those situations. You looked at his spine, we x-rayed it, we looked at the x-rays, and you looked at it and said, oh, my dear, it was a mess. And the question, can I help him? I don't know until we start the procedure, so we start that process. And he was in for a reevaluation a month or so later, and I was just looking to see if we gave a little bit of relief. And I asked him, I said, are you doing better? He says, yeah. I said, 20%, 10%? He says, oh, I'm doing about 80% better. And I was just kind of set back flabbergasted. There is so much benefit that seniors can obtain. Yeah. And you mentioned drugs. Tell me about some of the problems that people will have from those drugs. You mentioned constipation. I believe that can be caused by a drug.
Yeah, well, I mean, just listen to any of the commercials that have, if they say what the drug's for, they have to say all the side effects, and sometimes the list of side effects, it's mind-boggling how somebody would be willing to take that. And
it can harden bones and cause death. I know there's a commercial there that's meant to harden bones. The body strengthens itself under the proper guidance and preparation and the nutrition in a natural way. But you take some of these drugs, the bones may harden. And there's one in particular where there's been a lot of lawsuits because people's bones got harder. We call it brittle. And guess what happened? They just break. So there's so many senior citizens out there taking so many drugs. They go to the doctor, like you said, and said, here's a prescription. What do you tell patients that come in that maybe are on prescription, that you look at their case history and the problems they have, and you recognize that really some of that's coming from the drugs? How do you handle it?
Well, I don't ever tell them to stop taking their drugs or their medications.
You can't do that.
Yeah,
No.
but I encourage education and learning what.
You mean you teach them?
I try to.
Is it full cycle? To be a teacher, and here you are teaching people about health and prevention and preparation and strengthening. And how do you like it? How's your first year of practice coming along?
Oh, it's amazing. I help people feel better all day.
You mean you don't want to go back to something else?
No, I absolutely not. It's hard for me. I want to treat everybody for free almost. It's just getting people in and helping people feel better makes me feel way better than anything else does.
Now, audience, you heard that. She wants to treat people for free.
I wish I could.
I wish you could. But, with the right donations to the Share Foundation, we can make some of that possible for a lot of people who can't afford chiropractic care, because that's one of the sad issues, and why we created the Share Foundation was because there's people out there that their only doctor is an emergency room, and they have a problem, and what are their choices? And we feel there should be other choices. Tell me about some of the other exciting cases you've seen this year.
Yeah, well, all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah. Pick one, anyone.
Let's see. My most current one, I have an older man. He's in his 70s who was recently in a bad car accident, and he was the passenger in the car and came in, and he was not happy. He was not happy to be there, not happy about the paperwork, and was just not happy about anything. And I treated him a couple times, and he's like so happy when he comes in. After a week, he said he was feeling better than before the accident. almost not, of course, not happy that he was in the accident, but
No, but
it was almost a blessing in disguise for him. He is walking. He told me he's been riding his bike again, which he hasn't done in a long time, and just he has said he has more energy. He said he has a burst of energy when he leaves my office, and he's.
A lot of seniors out there that are accepting life that's kind of like, this is the way it is. There's nothing better for me. And in reality, you just hit upon something that they don't realize. I feel better than I did before the accident. I know I have a gentleman who's in his 77, and he was running a scooter around the warehouse, which is his business. And he hasn't been using that scooter for the last 2 years. Why? Good nutrition, chiropractic care, taking better care of himself. A patient came in from another auto accident, and you touch her, and she was in pain, and we adjusted her, chiropractic care, and she's so excited. She says, I used to always have pain. After her last child, or it was like 4 years, she's been having pain all the time. She's only like 41 years of age. And now she's pain-free, and she is so happy. I understand. I've been practicing for almost 50 years. You're in your first year of practice. May you have another at least 49 years of enjoyment. I believe there's a Channel 4. There's a man by the name of Willard Scott or something, or used to be, that used to talk about senior citizens, and they always congratulate them when they were 100 years old. And of course, some of the people, they were 100 years old, and they looked like it. But there was this one lady, and he was introducing her and saying it was Dr. So-and-so, and that she was now 100 years old. And she's had to excuse herself because she had to get to her office to take care of some patients. She was a chiropractor. And I just was visiting a friend today, and he had a patient that was 100 years old coming into his office. So, folks, it doesn't make any difference if you're just born or it's in the last, the fall of your life, the winter of life. There is still benefits from chiropractic care. Dr. Thompson, we greatly appreciate it. You've explained to us how chiropractic is good for our youth and our sports and everything else, and I wish you well in soccer.
Well, thank you.
Take good care of yourself.
I will.
You've explained the importance of chiropractic and pregnancy, and I hope people are listening out there. Again, if you want to know more information about the concussion issue with some of our youth, please call Dr. Thompson, and she will give you a referral. That's at area code 562-907-7700. Again, 562-907-7700. And get some fantastic information on helping individuals who've had concussions. Coaches, if you're listening, parents, if you're listening, please give Dr. Thompson a call. And ladies, if you are thinking about being pregnant, if you're pregnant, remember that number, because there's somebody who understands and wants to make sure that that delivery is natural. And you were saying, what was it you were saying about babies?
They'll come when they're ready.
They'll come when they're ready. Dr. Thompson, I greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us and explaining chiropractic to our guests.
I appreciate you having me very much.
And I look forward to seeing you come back again, and we'll talk more about that. Again, this show is brought to you by the Share Foundation. It is a public, nonprofit charitable organization dedicated to making the public aware of natural, that's what health is all about, natural health care, and how we can be of service in helping you to live a longer, healthier life. If you're interested in contributing to the Share Foundation, that's at area code 562-776-1727. That's area code 562-776-1727. You can also see us on the website at www.sharefoundation.com. And this has been Dr. Gerald Coy for Solutions for Life.